Guys, budget bushcrafter back again. I'm going to show you how to do. I have to find the knife. We're going to build a neck liner. PVC pipe. PVC pipe SDR 21. Schedule 21. I didn't like it, so I can't tell you. I thought my mic was in here. I can't tell you actually how thick it is. I'll have to look it up, or you can. Okay. See if you can get this under the table. I'm going to do a couple things here just to show you. Black Sharpie. Need to draw a straight line down this pipe. Table with a lip. Straight line down the pipe. This is my. There's a little saw that goes with this. It's for cutting angles. Straight line down the pipe. Just to show you, there's a couple easy ways if you want to put a line down it. You can get into it enough that you might want to draw a straight line down it, and then you'll drill like a hole here, and then not this long, but I'm just showing it up here so that it's not in the way of what we're going to do, and then kind of sketch something out from that hole. But basically, when you smash this down, you would actually cut the pipe here and then cut it here to an angle here, and you do this a little longer depending on how you want it to fold over to make a belt loop or whatever. But that's another project. I'll show you how you can do that too. Those knives I showed in my first ever video, this is actually how much I took off them. I was thinking about making some type of handle to put on this, or just using it this way, file this down, and put this in one of those little survival kits or something. I think this one's too small to do, but they didn't get overheated, so the hardening of them is still in there. They didn't lose their temper. I didn't get them hot when I cut them off. I used a Dremel tool, and I wrapped a washcloth around it, a wet washcloth, so when I ground through it, it kept the wet washcloth kept the heat pulled out of it. So that's something else if you're going to be cutting on something and you don't want to lose the temper. Just wrap a wet washcloth around it. Okay. This is a Nomex glove. I just do it because basically the pliable point for this is around 250 degrees. I don't want to get burnt. Being a retired firefighter, you don't want to get burnt. So basically all we're going to do is, since this is going to be a pressed one, we're just going to decide how deep we want it to go. And since this is going to be a neck one, we're going to kind of make it the Morris style. We're not going to leave much of it out. So, look at that, I lost my Sharpie already. Tip's going to go there. We're actually not going to want to cut it off there. We're going to want to go down a little bit. to give us room to shape it and to put the hole in it for the lanyard. And I guess that's kind of up to you. I don't use an exact science. And we're just going to take this again. I'm going to lay my pipe in it. And I'm just going to hold the marker right here in one corner, spin the pipe. And now, like I said, most people grab their Dremel, start getting all that dust and plastic everywhere. I grab my heat gun and heat the pipe. Doesn't take very long. I can see already from my line that slid on me. But that's alright. Like I said, we're going to trim it up, so. And you just kind of keep testing it. Look at that, it's ready already. Heat it up, razor knife. Poke it through. This blade must be a little dull. And then just, while it's still warm and pliable, there you have it. This is the hot end. No powder and dust everywhere. I do have the window open with the fan going and the window in the other room open, so I do have a cross draft. I'm not saying that you'll get dangerous fumes off of this, heating it, but better safe than sorry. And this is just my little press. I changed the design of this a couple times. It's in the process right now. I'm actually going to put some legs on it so that it's up off the table. That way it's easier to put the clamps on. There's actually a couple videos on YouTube of that. But basically, for foam, if I can get a hold of it, take the glove off here. Went to Menards. Yeah, you can see that. And these are just fatigue mats. You buy them, I think there's five in a pack. And I don't remember how much they were. Sorry, I'll have to look that up. I can't remember if it was $9 or $19. I bought them so long ago that I don't remember. I guess I should have looked that up first, huh? But anyway, and then basically all I did is just hot glued one to this board. And this is just that MFD board. I just put a couple spots of hot glue just to hold it in place. And I'm probably not going to need these. You only need these when you're doing, well, the handle on this one is pretty thick, so we're going to try it without them. If it doesn't give me the definition I want, all we got to do is reheat it. So here we go. There's different ways you can do this. I just use a heat gun, but I've seen people use an old toaster oven, and I've even seen one guy, well, this is with their Kydex, but I've even seen one guy who uses an electric skillet, sets it at, I'm assuming probably 250, 275, and then heats his Kydex right in that Teflon skillet. I was like, that's a pretty good idea. I think that'd be better than the toaster oven. Okay, we're already pliable. Now this is the part one where the Nomex glove comes in. Really handy. And I'm just making sure that the whole thing is pliable, because actually my hand isn't even warm inside this glove, and this is 1,000 degrees on high. But once we turn this off, you gotta go quick. Should have had my clamp adjusted. Losing time here. Whoops. That was too closed. And I think we're going to be in trouble. I think this end might have cooled a little bit too much. But we'll find out. Alright, I'm going to cut you off because while that's cooling, I'm going to show you something else. Okay, like I told you, I'm on a pretty tight budget. I can't just go out and buy a backpack, you know, and so along with the budget Bushcrafter, this is a bag when I was on the fire department that I used. It's a waist pack. It's got padding, padded straps, board around your waist. It's got 2 spots for water bottles. It's got this big pocket, this little zipper pocket, and then it's got this little zipper outside mesh pocket. 2 rings here. It's a nice bag. And I was like, well, now that I'm retired, I don't have to have medical equipment in anymore. What do you know? Bushcraft bag. So what I did is I found these old H suspenders. They're padded. An old tool belt. This had 2 handles But you can carry it this way. Whoop, not quite in the camera. Two handles that you could grab here. So the one on the inside, I cut it in half, and these H suspenders have these little plastic rings on them, and I just stuck the webbing through there. And then I re-sewed it. Got the one side done already. And then the ones in the front have those same rings on them. So I'm just going to take some more webbing, put them through there, and just sew maybe a loop. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to hook them to the actual front part of the belt. But if I just did a loop, then the loop could just pass through the belt when it's unclipped from this Fastex fastener. And they just go through the loop to hold it on the front. And then I would actually have some H suspenders to help support the pack. And doing it that way, because I'm not on the fire department anymore, I had this little one that I used when we did events, like basketball games or whatever. I did a lot of volunteer work for the Special Olympics, and Special Olympics Michigan did a volunteered on their medical staff. And this is what I carried for that. Just needed light medical gear because we had constant radio communication, and we could call for a pickup to actually take him to the medical station if anything severe was going on. So we just needed a small pack. So I have this little fanny pack too. It's got this outside pocket that's got a little Maglite pouch right here. And then it has this Velcro piece here, and this pocket goes all the way across this thing, even in behind the flashlight. So I can put like a tarp or whatever in there, some rain gear, you know, whatever. And then it's got this pocket that does have some plastic bands in there to hold equipment, so you can see those. Just some loops. And then it has this pocket. So it's two inside pockets, and when it's zipped you can see that this pocket is actually quite substantial pocket. It's quite wide. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut the waist belt off it. And I haven't decided yet, because I just started doing this tonight. I just came up with this idea. But I'm going to take these H suspenders, and then probably right here where the H is at, because it's above the butt pack, I'm going to sew this on there. So basically I'll have on one set of suspenders, kind of like an Alice suspenders, the load bearing, I guess they're not the Alice pack, the load bearing suspenders. I'll have a butt pouch and the smaller pouch above it. So I thought that was pretty cool. I should be able to get all the gear in there I need for a weekend, overnighter or whatever on a summer. I don't have a wool blanket or all that fancy bivvy stuff. Right now all I have is just like a couple of those throw fleeces. You know, they're only like $3-4 bucks. Budget bushcrafting. It's what I can afford right now, and it works. So I guess, you know, you can't complain. It lets me get out and have a little fun. But I'm going to cut you off, and we'll go back and check this clamp. Alright, I grabbed the knife with ouches. We have a design flaw in this idea already. It worked great with this knife. And I don't know where the other one went that I showed you in the video already. With that one, that other small knife like this. I didn't pay attention, but this actually curves a little bit. So, with this wider base down here, I can't quite pull it out. It's in there pretty good. But the beautiful part about this stuff is it doesn't matter, because all I have to do is reheat it and redo it. And it did cool a little bit too much. It didn't squish down here. So remember that. Keep your clamps adjusted and ready to go. But, so that's something I have to keep in mind when I'm doing these. I'm going to have to make it like I did this one. And you can only go up into here somewhere. Can't quite go in a deeper set. Yeah, I'm not going to try to push that back in and out. I mean, I got some good definition even here. Even though it didn't squish down on these two corners, it did in the center. And I don't know if that shows up, but you can still see the blade in it even. It even squished down around the blade, even though it didn't squish right out here on the corners. But you know what? I could probably cut this off and use it just the way it is. Just shorten this part, and it would probably go right in there. I might even try that. And this isn't no big deal, because all you got to do is heat this up, and with like my glove or something that's not going to burn you, you can just push those down and hold them for a minute, or push them down and then take a wet washcloth to cool it real quick, and you can hold it by just pressing it with your hands. If you want to get a better mold around the knife handle or something. The only problem is I'm not going to heat this and cut it like I showed you. Because if I heat this, it's actually going to want to start to it's going to puff, and I'm going to lose this. So if I might as well just start from the beginning if I did that. Whereas if I cut it off and it works, great. I'll just heat this and squish these flat. Now keep in mind though that even though these are flat and these sides are sealed, when you go to sand this off, if you're going to come in any at all, you're going to take this pipe edge away, this folded edge on both sides, and then you're going to have a gap like this. But that's not a problem either, because then all you have to do, I'll show you on this one. When I sanded the pipe in, of course, the folds are gone, so now it's just open pieces of pipe. Well, I'm just going to probably stick like a toothpick in there or whatever, something to keep it open a little bit. And I'm just going to take a Q-tip with the PVC cement and just swipe it in there, pull out whatever I use to wedge it open, and then just put some little clamps on it and let the sorry guys, I've been battling a cold. And then just let the glue dry with those clamps on there, and you'll never see that gap. That glue will bond that gap, it'll be gone. And of course other people talk about how you want a little bit in the bottom for water to drain out, whatever. I guess I'm not too concerned about that. It's a stainless steel blade. But this one, I've sold this one already. This is my very first YouTube video ever. But it's just, this one will end up like this. So, I guess, like Really Big Monkey 1 says, if you're an honest person, even though it didn't work, you still show it. It didn't work. I'm going to make it work, but it didn't work. So I'll probably put a part 2 up on I Don't Have Time Tonight. This was supposed to just be a quickie. That's probably why it didn't work, because this was a quickie. But I'll fix it. It's no big deal. This, you know, I can reheat this whole thing and start over from the very beginning, and this won't be hurt at all. And then the trick I showed you of heating it to cut it. By the way, if you want to cut it because your knife or whatever gear you're doing doesn't fit the tube, well, they do make this in bigger too, but if you can cut it and heat it and then lay it flat so that you have sheets. This is, what was this, 1-inch pipe? I don't remember. Hold on. Yeah, this is 1 inch. And when I just make your line down the pipe, like I showed you under the lip of the table or something else, you know, that won't roll around, and then just heat it, and then just run your razor knife down the pipe and split it. Then heat the whole piece. But like I said, this is 1-inch pipe. When we split it open, we have almost 4 inches of usable material from a 1-inch piece of pipe. So they make this 1.5 inches, 2 inch, clear up to, well, if you want to get crazy, I think you can even get it in 12 inch. I don't know what you'd ever want that for. But even, you know, even if you had 2-inch pipe, this is 1-inch pipe that cut open to almost 4. You know, so if you had 2-inch pipe, you'd have almost an 8-inch sheet, 7 7/8. Kydex only comes in, well, you can get it 12 by 24, but it's normally sold in like 12 by 12. So, you know, I don't know what you'd need a much bigger piece than that for. So, even if you had 8 inches, I mean, basically this is what you'd have. You'd have a piece that wide, and the length of whatever you cut it. I don't remember what I cut this at, but so you can always split the pipe and do a 2-piece. I don't know if I actually showed that, but it's got the blade definitions in there too. I don't remember if I showed this in the first video. I might have. But yeah, there's just 2 quick things. Hopefully I can show you a few more from the Budget Bushcrafter. Have a good night.